Hi folks, with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about what's shaping up, I think at least, as the new class struggle. And this is not a class struggle based on income levels or inherited wealth or workers versus white collar workers versus blue collar workers or knowledge workers as versus manual labourers and things. Although those class divisions, exist in different forms and with different levels of intensity depending on the society you're looking at. But one thing that's been quite clear about any election or any expression of the public will that does not accord with the globalist project and the talking points of the globalist commentariat. Anything that does not accord with that, after they've called everyone a Nazi and a fascist and Hitler, after that, then they'll go to a proposed or purported understanding. Well, the real issue is that we've got educated versus non-educated. So people that go to college, they vote for mass migration. People that go to college vote for social division based on race. They vote for racial division. They vote for gender conflict. They vote for LGBTQ and da-da-da. They vote for climate green policies. So the educated, the college people, ones who've had a college education or university education, they're the smart people. They're the ones who understand what's good. They know what's good. The other people, apart from being Nazis, are just fucking dumbasses. In fact, they didn't go to university because they're so fucking dumb. And it just so happens at the same time as being so fucking dumb, they happen to be straight white males. Dumb, straight white males, Nazis, don't vote for social division and racial division and green policies. They don't vote for that. So there you go. That's it. The educated classes, they know. The ones that didn't go to university, too dumb to understand the issues. So that seems to be now I've seen this playing out a number of ways. When Donald Trump was elected in 2016, they went straight, the globalist and the commentariat, they went straight for this. Well, it was all those fucking damn rednecks. There's all those damn Nazi rednecks that didn't go to university. If they'd been to university, of course, they would have been educated, and they would have known, better, and they would have understood the issues. And anyone who understands and knows the issues will vote for the destruction of the white race because white people are so bad. You learn that in university, and once you know that, then the destruction of the white race, destruction of white society, destruction of white culture is good, and you will vote for it. And it's simple. Who needs an explanation on that, you dumb fuck? So this is the go. Now, this was 2016. Now, it happened again in 2020 when, Donald Trump got a pretty good vote there. He's one of probably I think it's the second or third candidate in the history of the United States that got more votes on the second, as in to run for re-election for a second term as president, who got more votes than they did on the first time. If you look at, say, Barack Obama got a pretty good turnout. In fact, it was the highest vote when Barack Obama's first term, because he got such a huge college kid turnout. He got the highest votes, I think, of any presidential candidate in history in his first term, but it was quite a few million less, or several million less, I think, in the when he stood for re-election. But the Republicans very helpfully put a very weak candidate up to stand against him, so he was still able to get across the line. So Trump got, I think it was 73 million, just off the top of my head, and got like 63 or thereabouts, 64 or something in the election before that. So he improved his vote by quite a bit, and the commentariat, as much as I think somewhere in the region of 20 million votes were harvested or invented for Biden to make sure he won. I don't think there's any real doubt about that, is a guy who could barely coherent enough to put a sentence together, didn't campaign at all, and yet he got the 12 million more votes than any other presidential candidate in the history of presidential elections. Probably one of the weakest candidates ever gets the most votes ever. Yeah, sure, that happened. Yeah, right. So, but nonetheless, the people who voted for Trump were roundly again denounced as, after they'd finished the Nazis and all that stuff, were roundly denounced as they're just too stupid. To anyone who's been to college would vote the other way. There'd be like 0 votes for the other people. So if we can get everyone to go to college, no one will ever vote the wrong way again, or something like that, I think it went. But there's this divide. If you go to college, you're informed, you're knowledgeable, you're bright, you're smart. Now, of course you're smart. You've been to university. That means you're fucking smart. That means you're a high IQ, smart motherfucker who knows the issues, understands the issues, can grasp incredible levels of complexity. Whereas the other people, of course, can't. Now, people who haven't been to college, who are working and so on, maybe at blue-collar jobs or whatever, they have to face things like day-to-day living, cost of living, the purchasing power of wages, looking after family members, bringing up kids, paying mortgages. And so they can tell as well or better than anyone not in that position how tough it is to get by and so on. So the idea that they know nothing, understand nothing, and can comprehend nothing is quite absurd. Nonetheless, this is the divide that the globalists funded and controlled and directed commentariat go. It's the dumb people. You don't vote globalist, then you're dumb. And the more you've been to university, the more likely you're going to vote for the globalist project and support the globalist plans and programs, and therefore you are bright. So this is obviously that's nonsense, but this is the one they're pushing. Now, this was the same in Australia in the recent referendum to enshrine a black-only parliament into the constitution of Australia. It got, as referendum go, it got soundly defeated, 62 to 38%. And in Australia, you have to get a majority of states and a majority of voters. And the zero states voted for it, so it was nil to 6. And as I say, 62 to, and I think the 38% was pumped a bit. And I don't think that many people really voted for it. Nonetheless, it was a substantial repudiation of an attempt to divide Australians by race with this black-only parliament, which again, as I mentioned in other videos, was just an attempt by the globalists to enshrine a permanent race-grift architecture into the Australian socio-political scene. Anyway, it failed. Now, whether we look at Brexit in 2016 or this referendum just in Australia, again, the globalist funded and inspired and talking pointed commentary, it went straight for, well, when you look at it, goes one commentator, it was the bright people, it was the university people that voted yes, because they're the smartest, and it was the dumbass little Nazi fascist fucks that didn't vote for it, and they didn't go to college, which proves, quite apparent, in fact, Nazis, that they're too fucking stupid, because the brighter people have been to college, they know, they understand. Now, let's just go through this. So let's look at who's in college today. Maybe it's true. Certainly when I was graduating from high school to college, there was a very small proportion of the population actually went to university. It was just the beginning of the explosion in sociology courses. So it was just about to start at around that time. But hitherto, of the kids that started senior high school, you were looking at 3 or 4% of them would go on to university. That's how selective university was. And there was a situation of strictly pass or fail. If you didn't make the fucking grade, that was it, baby. You didn't go to university, or certainly didn't do the course that you wanted. My folks were pestering me to go and do medicine. They wanted me to. My mother wanted me to become one of these medical specialists who got paid obscene sums of money to do, I don't know, brain surgery or something or other. But I didn't make the cut. I think the cut was like 85, if not higher. I think in that year, that, you know, a lot of bright kids turned up, and there was only a set amount of places. So unlike today, when the university can just, you know, whistle up another 100 or 200 or however many places they want in any given course at any given university, back then it wasn't. There are 100 places. That's it. And only the brightest kids get in there. So if a lot of bright kids appear in that year, and the cutoff point notionally being 85, it may be, you know, 88 or 89, because you just take the top marks for those 100 places. So it's almost like auctioning off the 100 places to the brightest kids, which meant that the brightest kids got the job, got the gig at university, and were able to attend the course. So so it was a very, very select, very elite group of kids that went through, and it was only the brightest kids that got through. Now, I came first in the state in 2 subjects in the graduation examination, but I still didn't make any of the top courses. You know, that's how sort of far off the wasn't far off the mark, you know, far off the grade, but nonetheless, it wasn't good enough to get into things like medicine or you know, pure maths or pure physics or something like that. I mean, not that I wanted those courses, but the grade wasn't good enough. So, but anyway, the point I'm making is very elite. Only the brightest kids got through. A very small number of kids got through. So I think out of say 120 kids that started senior high school, in that school, maybe 10% of those kids, no, it'd be more than that, probably 15% of those kids went through to university. So it was quite a small group. There were some that could probably done some of the lesser courses, but figured it wasn't worth. They couldn't get into the course they wanted, you know, whether it be, I don't know, engineering or medicine or something. They would just go, nah, can't be bothered, and would go off and do something else. There's a couple of kids decided to repeat the year. One kid wanted to do some form of engineering and didn't get in. He didn't miss it by much, but didn't get in. So he decided to repeat the whole year and go back, you know, do the final year of high school again, just so he could get a better mark and better grade and make it into the course he wanted to, which he did do, by the way. But anyway, a very small number got through. Now compare it to today. So 3% were getting through to university back in the day, and today, well, now, in Australia at least, something like 60% are getting into university, or in other countries, 40%. So it's gone from a very small elite group to suddenly there's a huge group of getting into university. And there's been an explosion in bullshit courses, you know, African American studies, African American music studies, peace studies, and an almost infinite array of sociology courses, you know, anti-colonial, decolonialization studies, all white people are evil studies, and the list just goes on. Very anti-white society, anti-white culture, anti-white history, this sort of thing. So there are now a plethora of courses about how to hate white people and white men and white society and history and so on. So it's hardly any doubt those people would vote for anti-white type proposed legislation, you know, such as we see in this referendum in Australia just recently. So we're talking vast numbers of kids are getting. Now, let's just sort of unpack that. Are these kids smarter? Because you're looking at, certainly in Australia's case, you're looking at 20 times as many kids getting into university today as did, you know, back then when I was graduating. So 20 times the amount of kids. So over that time, kids are 20 times cleverer. Even though education's dumbed down to the shit house, I mean, it's 20 times cleverer. No, kids are not 20 times cleverer. They're nowhere near it. In fact, they'd be a lot less clever than they were then. And if I look at some people I've known, they've asked me to look at their kids' thesis or their kids' essays for university, and I'm aghast at the piss poor quality of these things, poorly researched, just full of bullshit, absolute inaccuracies, and not sort of the accidental mistake, like there's accidentally put in an extra zero or something. I don't mean that. I mean just apart from pure sloppiness, just ideological, sort of willful ideological madness being inserted into their fucking essays and so on. So the standard of work is very, very poor. Even if a third-year high school kid gave me that work, I would flunk it and hand it back, saying, no, that's crap, do it again. So very low quality of student. Now, because of affirmative action, you've got low IQ kids who never would have made it out of junior high school. They're getting waved through into senior high school. They're giving junior high school graduation diplomas. Then they're being waved through into senior high school. Then they're being kept in senior high school when they're nowhere near that. And then they're being waved through again into college, into university. So, and then they're given a bullshit course like, peace studies or some gender studies or lesbian studies or lesbian dance theories. They get all these bullshit courses where no one fails. Even in courses like, say, international business studies, there was a friend of my wife's or work colleague of my wife some years ago asked me would I look at her essay, and they're given a rate. They aren't examined on the course material, which is interesting when they've got to do their end of year or end of term, whatever. I think this might have been an end of term essay. Which is tantamount to a test or exam, if you will, but it's been changed. So they're not actually tested on knowledge. So they're given a range of options that they can write an essay about, and some of it's fairly sort of heavy, like the policies of the World Bank that have affected the and the interest rates and the cost of loans that have and how those loans are, so some of it is actually quite technical, and would require some fairly intimate knowledge of the issues. But littered, sort of scattered throughout those essay topics are things like, how do you believe current international monetary policies have affected the lives of women, or affected the lives of LGBTQ, or another essay, affected the lives of lesbian women? Would you write an essay on to what extent the policies have caused the rise of the far right, epitomized by the election of Donald Trump and the Nazis? And you get these these are topics, these are optional topics of essays for in a university that claims to be serious and claims to be offering serious education to would-be students. Then invariably, this woman in question picks the softest essay, which was give your opinion on how it's affected women, and so she goes for that. And she giggles about, well, I didn't listen too well in class, and I just tune out and where I'm at the lectures and so on. So she just picks the softest, easiest thing where nobody fails. She even says, no one ever fails the essay on this topic. Women who've done that, and there's a women's lesbian advisory body within the university says, hey, do that essay. You won't get failed. And as long as you say you hate men with a passion, they'll give you a triple distinction and so on. So it's heavily loaded away from quality education, and it is heavily loaded towards affirmative action, low IQ stooges who've just been waved in. Now, this woman, talking to this woman, who's pleasant enough, by the way, I doubt she'd have made it out of junior high school. I mean, a serious doubt. So she is not high IQ. She's not bright. And just talking to her about some concept, she stares blankly at it. She just doesn't get it. So I doubt she'd have made it out of junior high school. If she did manage to scrape into senior high school, she wouldn't have a snowball's chance making it to university in a merit-based system. So what we're looking here is a vast pool of university students, absolutely vast, where none of them have made any meritorious or have achieved any meritorious standard to get into university. But they have been, it has been instilled in them to hate white society, white history, white culture, and to believe that the planet's about to end for climate change. So this is not a matter of education, that the highly educated would vote for the globalist project. It's not that at all, far from it. The real issue here is, and we have to push back on, the real issue here is the indoctrinated masses voting for these things, such as the punitive climate change things. The world's about to end, so we have to increase the price of energy by 3 or 4 times and bankrupt our poor citizens. It's stuff that in a referendum or any government that cared about its citizens would never allow it to happen. But these people have been indoctrinated with that. So that's the real divide. Isn't education. The real divide here is indoctrination or wealth. So people of substantial wealth. And I think I've been taken off sort of a lunch circuit list. I'm quite sort of an entertaining guy at lunches and talk about interesting things. And when conversations, you've got a group of people at a table where conversation kind of stalls. I'm good at sort of getting it going again. And so I wouldn't say a sought after guest, but it's we'll get Billy Bob. He'll sort of and so we get quite a few lunches, and we know quite well-to-do people. We don't own a $5 million house, by the way, but we know lots of people who do, or $10 million houses. So we go and have lunch there, and it irked me so much just to. Some weeks ago now, it irked me so much listening to these people just churn out these globalist talking points of, we have to increase mass migration. We've got to increase the mass migration, increase it again. And by the same token, say, well, I don't want those fucking third world peasants living anywhere near me. But isn't mass migration wonderful? And the people who complain about it are all Nazis. And I'm sick of listening to this crap pushed out by rich people that haven't got a clue. They don't have to earn their income. They don't have to work for their money. They're just sitting on top of a fuck pile of money, and they're plugged into the socialite set. They get gifted directorships, and they get handed all sorts of prestigious, cozy things without having to lift a finger. And one guy, the guy who's coming out with is particularly going on about all this globalist talking points. He's a fucking moron. Morons too. No, I'm being harsh there. But he's certainly not bright, and certainly can't even be bothered to come to grips with complex issues. He just churns out the talking points. Anyway, I got a little bit irritated with him, and I think it showed, because I noticed they've had a few sort of lunches and brunches and whatnot since, and we haven't been invited. So I think it doesn't pay to ask questions, or even if they get the feeling you might not agree with them, that's it. Or be in full agreement with them, that's it. You're off that Christmas card list, and you're off the lunch circuit list. and word gets around. So if they tell the next person, in the chain that hey, Billy Bob's I think he might be a closet Trump voter or something. That's enough. You're not going to the lunches anymore, which is a little bit irritating one way, because these people, some of them live in fucking waterfront mansions, magnificent views, and what they call a light snack is a sumptuous feast. So it's disappointing to be off the list, but hey. So coming back to this idea of only the educated vote, the way that we're not talking about that. We're talking about so rich they don't care, or they're not affected by the they don't care if energy is 3 or 4 times the price of that. And then the indoctrinated. So that's the difference. This idea that it's educated versus non-educated, it's utter crap, and we need to push back against it and dismiss it as the nonsense it is. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.